welcome to this industry talk. I'm Leonardo Gambini. I'm the product manager of Akeron Player Manager, which is a software that it's a tool that was created for the CFO and the CEO to have a complete economic and financial control over the handling of athletes. This will be a four-handed presentation, so together with me, I'm very happy to introduce Irene Cravero from Juventus.
Good morning. I'm Irene Cravero. I work within the financial department of Juventus Football Club. I'm in charge of financial planning and budgeting for the football players, especially as the players are both the employees and the main assets of the company. It's really important to provide and foresee the consequences of different scenarios and all the outcomes from a financial and economic point of view deriving from every player management operations.
So, why Akeron Player Manager? Why has it been developed, this product? Akeron is a consulting company and a software company that has helped Juventus during the last 15 years implementing their CPM tool, specifically Tagetic, in the Office of Finance in the financial department. And during these years, we have understood that the dealing with the player contracts, especially specifically to doing forecasting, budgeting on the player contracts, we needed an ad hoc tool, a custom tool. So this is why we have created Akeron Player Manager. Which are the features and which are the objectives that we needed, that we wanted from this tool? This tool had to have a need of accuracy for budgeting and forecasting, account planning. It has to be fast to create new scenarios, new simulations. That is the so-called what-if analysis. It has to be a double-entry accountancy rigorousness. We are coming from the controlling. We are talking for the controlling department. They are very keen and precise about this aspect, both on actual and simulation. This tool had to be a help for the regulatory reporting for UEFA and for the Italian Covisoc. And it has to be a support, financial support, during the player trading, mainly to understand quickly if it is affordable or not from a financial point of view. Another objective was to have a continuous comparison and check-in with the ERP accountancy system. Since the Akeron Player Manager writes a write-off, writes double entries like the accountancy, these had to be must-to-have. Finally, the automatic calculation of achievement of bonuses, especially for the simulation. Akeron Player Manager had to manage all the details regarding player contracts, specifically the player registration, the depreciation, the salary, both fixed and bonuses, the agents, the solidarity and FIFA training compensation, payments, proceeds, options, and so on. Later on, we added not only player contracts, but also other stuff. So coaches, medical staff, and so on. So salary and bonuses for them too. Technically speaking, everything on Akeron PM works is based on what is called events. An event, what is an event? Event is whatever happens or can happen on a player contract that has or could have a financial impact. We are interested in the financial impact of the contract, okay? As an example, here below, there are some example of events. So buying, selling from a local club, buying, selling from a foreign club, incoming, outcoming loan, renewal, agents, solidarity, purchase options and counter options and counter options. salary bonuses, conditional transfer fees, development fees, bonuses to agents. So all aspects that has a financial impact. What do we mean when we talk about simulation and budget? There are two main aspects that can be simulated. So it can be divided in two. One aspect is the player trading, so the contracts. And another aspect is about performances. For example, very simple example about contracts, I can simulate and I can check what happens in my financial accountancy if I buy player A, if I buy a player. So I have to enter all payments, fixed salary, the same as it would be in a real contract. Then I can sell player B or renewal player C and so on and so on. This is what I can do on contracts. Another part is about performances. So what happens, again, to financial accountancy, if the club ends first, second, third in La Liga, in Serie A, in Bundesliga, in UEFA Champions League, and so on and so on. And player A, the one that I have just bought, does the same number of games as another player that I've maybe sold, and so on. So these are the inputs of the simulation, of the budgeting. So during the year, in every moment, I can create a new simulation and enter these aspects and see what happens financially to my accountancy system. And this is done by using what we have called the two engines of Player Manager. These two engines, we think there are no other product in the market that does these two things together. The first engine is the so-called bonus engine. The second one is the double entry engine. Let's see briefly the first one. The bonus achievement calculates if a bonus must be paid or not by using input variables. Variables are divided into two main categories, so individual or collective. The individual one are very easy, are typically minutes played, goals, assists, and so on. So you must enter or you must simulate for a single player. The second type are the collective one, so the performances made by the club. So the final position that I think I will reach at the end of the championship, at the end of the UEFA Champions League, and so on. And the formulas, how are entered in an Excel-like syntax. Since Juventus and other Italian football company used the Excel to calculate if a bonus must be calculated or not, we didn't want to reinvent the wheel, and so we decided to use an Excel-like syntax. I will show you two examples very easily. What I should write if the player scores at least 10 goals. The formula would be like you would write in Excel. If goals greater or equals 10, then true, otherwise false. Another example, a little bit more complicated. If the player participates in at least 50% of matches with at least 45 minutes each, and the team wins the UEFA Champions League. So we have a mix of individual and collective variables. The formula would be if and appear 45 divided by number of matches equals greater or equals to 0.5, and position UEFA Champions League equals 1, then true, otherwise false. Obviously, the formula can be as complicated as you want, and the most important thing is that each variable that you see here, goal, appearance, position, is customizable. So there's nothing built in the system. You give the meaning to the variable goal, and the system automatically calculates the achievement. The second engine is the double entry engine. Is the system that calculates the accountancy, and as you would write, it is done on the accountancy system. It is based on two aspects: the player contracts details in the simulation, the ones that we have seen before. So I simulate to buy, sell, renew, and the output from the bonus engine. So it automatically calculates if a bonus must be paid at the end of this season or the following season. If an option must be preempted or not, must be achieved or not. And what does it calculate? It calculates the double entry transactional rows that have been written for the past and will be written for the future by the administration in the bookkeeping system. Here we are talking in Juventus about 320,000 double entry rows transaction for each simulation. And obviously you can compare everything with everything. Just some statistics about Juventus. We are counting only the number of players. The system actually has about 370 players divided by professionals, youth, women, about 200 staff. These are the contract, and we are counting the active ones, not the past. Okay. And about the bonus engine, we are talking about 1,700 bonuses on salary, divided by players and staff. Then we have options, we have development fees and conditional transfer fees. Obviously, everything is reportable in Excel and can be imported and exported in Excel. And there is a business intelligence tool based on Microsoft Power BI. I finished my presentation. What I would like to show you is it's done by Irene.
Okay. Thanks, Leonardo. I'm going to show you, I'm actually using the program. So I do the login. It opens the main menu, where I go on the player manager, and I see on the top of the screen many drill down menus. The first one regards all the master data, where I can find all the players' data. Very easy. So, for example, all names, date of birth, nationality, role, the squad, and the type of contract if they brings together different accounting rules. The same with other of employees, such as the staff. So, for example, here is interesting because we can also do reporting by activity or by cost center. And it's very easy to have all the information in the same records. All the master data hold also for club, fiscal year, season, version, and simulation. What does simulation mean? For example, simulation is very useful when we need to create different scenarios. So, for example, actual is the reality, so the actual contracts and the actual employees. But you can create many different scenarios especially during transfer season. So you can create a scenario in which you are going to buy 3 new players, or another scenario in which you are not going to buy new players, but just pretend that all the company are preempting the definite transfer for the option. So you can build here the master data of different scenarios, and then under the simulation menu you will put all the specific events. Here it's also useful that you can put IAS rates. So maybe when you have to purchase a player from abroad, you just need to set a specific validity date, and the program is automatically able to compute the relevant interest and to write it on the relevant accounts. So let's go to the actual events. Here you see a list of all the players and all the events regarding the players. You can still have at a glance a look of all the team, or you can just go, if you are interested, maybe in the analysis of a specific player. So, for example, you see that this player was purchased from abroad. The purchase price was 90 million. You can see it here. Then you see all the validity date of the contract, the beginning and the end. You see that he's a professional. You see a lot of information. So, for example, you see that there are rights of images with the purchase of this player. And on this action, you see many other menus that can bring additional information, such as the salary. For every season, you are able to put the gross or net salary, such as, for example, all the due date for installment. So in this case, there were 3 years for the payment. And by putting these dates here and then you run the simulation, you will be able to compute automatically the IIS income or charges that need to be added or deducted to the player's right. Here, it's easy because you can see in the same windows everything that composes the player's rights. So from the beginning you have the purchase price, then you maybe have some other amounts that have to be added, such as the agent, that in this case is capitalized. Then you can also change manually the beginning and the end of depreciation, and also the depreciation calculation type, which could be customized as you need, so for example in the number of days. And you see that there are other amounts such as the solidarity and also negative amounts because of the interest IAS rates. I talk about agents, so I can show you that there is also a windows where you can put, in case there is some agents to be added to the purchase price, you can put all the installment rate. You can express whether it's to be capitalized or not, whether it's to be paid in any case or just if the player is under contract at a specific date. And it also helps because you can download easily a report with Excel or Power BI, or you can see you can also receive it by email, and it helps to sum up all the payments that are due to the company, to the agents. You can also check you can modify IAS rates in case you think there are other rates more suitable. You can copy or move the events. So in this case, it's really useful when you do different scenarios. You don't want to put manually all data again, so you just copy the events to another scenario. And you can also check, in this case, there was a solidarity flag on the event. That means that solidarity was to be added to the purchase price. So you can open, and in these solidarity windows, you see that on the top there is the 5%, which is the maximum amount to be paid. But you also have the choice to specifically express which are the company and the different amount that are to be paid to other clubs. So when you run the simulation, by click here, you will see that the system already does all the double entry for the player. This is all the accounts Leonardo was talking about before. So you see all the database accounts, which are the accounts in the program, and you will see also the export account, which are the club account number and description. So you can imagine that here is quite easy because we are dealing with just one player, but you can run multiple simulations, and just by clicking once, you will have all the player and all the team. For example, you will know how much you are going to pay as a salary for the season, and it's very useful when you do season planning for many years. I'll go back on the menu. I can also show you that you can ask the program to send you. You can attach documents in case you need to attach maybe the player passport or something. And you can ask the program to send you the summary player report. So you can choose maybe that you want to see just one event or all the events regarding the same player. You maybe be interested in salaries, or maybe just in the double entry to check with the accountancy system if everything is going as you forecast, or all the details and right of depreciation. You just click send the report, and you will be able to see all a summary at a specific dates with all master data information and all events types. So what happens from the time when you first purchase the player to now. You can see all the amount that were paid as a wage, as a fixed and variable wage to the player. You can maybe check why, and you can also see all the other amount of money paid to the agents and all the depreciation table. The same holds for all the wages. You can check why you paid some amount and why not. It's very useful when you have to check with the accounting system if everything was as planned. And now I go back to the simulation because I only say a few words, but we can talk about variable bonuses. There are many kinds of bonuses, as Leonardo says before. There are some bonuses that are to be paid to the player, so they are part of their variable wages. But there are also conditional transfer that the club may need to pay to the other clubs that sells you the player, only if certain condition happens. So imagine when you have more than 50 professional players, it's really hard to take in mind at any time all the transfer bonus that are still valid. So you need to have some records. And with Excel, it's quite easy to have a first, at a glance, all the situation under control. So, for example, these are variable wages, and you see the Excel-like formula, the amount, the season of validity, and the description of the variable wages. It says that is a gross amount, when the competence when achieved, the payment that in this case is the last of the next month, but can also be when achieved, can be same as competence. You can also put manually payment details. You can say that solidarity need to be added or not. And if you know that is achieved, you can also force the achievement for the simulation, or see that the player maybe is no longer yours because some condition happened, so maybe he had an injury. So you say that is no longer achievable. What I'm going to show you is that, for example, you can use a simulation to foresee what is going to happen from a financial point of view, for example, when you're going to win a championship. So now is October, you don't know what is going to happen, but still you need to be prepared from a financial point of view. So, for example, you can go to the collective input and expressly say that the position at the end of this season is going to be first. So you modify the number. This is always the worst position that you will expect to achieve in every different championship. Then you run the simulation again, and you can see that something happens. So, for example, if a player has a conditional transfer, such in this case, you see that the players has a conditional transfer if he plays at least 10 games. So you go again in the performance, in the individual games, in the individual input this time. You can manually add all the inputs, or you can also import from Excel if it's easier. And you check that for this player, you expect him to play 32 matches. So if you run the simulation, you will see that this bonus became real under the simulation scenario. So the professional player depreciation cost for this season is going to increase by this amount, and this is due to the capitalization of this bonus arising from the conditional transfer. So this is really simple with one player, but it's really useful to have the simulation done automatically when you deal with many players at the time. Last things that I want to show you is when we need to simulate that some players, some loan may become a definite transfer. So, for example, when you do market transfer, the company doesn't want to sell you or buy the player for a definite transfer that is more expensive. So you just go on a loan. And then no, sorry. Yeah. And then you see all the events related to the player. What can you see is that on the last event there is no B, so it is not blocked. It means that this event is not definite, but brings some option with it. So, for example, it was a transfer just on a loan, but you need to know from the beginning what will be the amount, the capital gain or loss that you expect, whether this option will be exercised or not. So what? You just modify this from to be decided to preempted, you save it, you run the simulation again, and you will easily see from our reports, again, that this time you expect to have a capital gain from this operation equaling to this amount. And you will no longer have the player's right and the depreciation fund and so on, and maybe you will, if you don't use this software, maybe you will forget that you will have to pay also an agent on the definite transfer, because maybe it's easier to know it because it's automatically computed from the agent windows information. I think I said maybe everything. You can do the setup, which is quite easy and need to be done just once. So, for example, you need to expressly say which are the export accounts that you want to be used, and by using setup and pairing database account and export account, you set to the program all the rules that they need to be used. So every time there was an amortization, you have to write it if it's professional or yacht contract on this specific account, but all this work is to be done just once every time something changes. I think it's all. If you have some information, we are here.
Okay, I don't know if you have any question. I would be glad to answer now. Or if you want to come to our stand, number 22, we would be very happy to answer all your questions, all your doubts. Okay.
I think there are a lot of competitors out there in the market that sells software.
Yep.
Similar software.
Yep.
What's the unique feature that
The feature it mainly is the double entry accuracy. This is very and the bonuses achievement. The two engines. I don't think that I have not shown you exactly the potentiality of the bonuses engine that is really customizable and really easy to use. I have seen other products that want to do something similar, but there are more many things are built in the system. While in this case you use variables you create by yourself, you fill by yourself, you just give the meaning and you use them. The second important is the double entry accuracy. So we really can compare with the bookkeeping system of Juventus and check everything that comes out from the system, and check with the Akeron PM, and if everything goes wrong, and especially in the simulation, you simulate not by telling this bonus will be achieved, but you're telling I will win UEFA Champions League, I will arrive second, third, and so on in my championship, and the system automatically tells you which are the bonuses that will be achieved and not, and will use the ones achieved to calculate all the double entries. Okay, it's financial accuracy. It's done for budgeting and simulation on the financial aspects of player contracts. If there are no more answers, thank you very much. I will appreciate if you want to come and to ask me one-to-one whatever question you have. Thank you very much.
Thank you.